Are you also tired of getting tons of emails and you need to filter them, or you need to read them and then send them, forward them to the right person? I have a solution for you, and it's called automation with AI and Zapier. So we're going to use these two tools in order to get this thing automated away from our daily tasks, and we don't have to think about it anymore. This will be the Zap that we're going to set up in this video. It's actually quite simple, not too many steps as you can see here. So basically the idea is that we get an email, ChatGPT is filtering the email or reading the email and understanding what the context of that email is, and then it creates paths that it sends it to the right person, so to speak, at this point here where ChatGPT is creating the path, and then depending on which path ChatGPT selected, it will be sent to person A or it will be sent to person B. Okay, so we're going to set this up step by step, and therefore you need three things. So you need a Zapier account, a Gmail account, as well as an OpenAI API account as well. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so first of all, Zapier.com, it is an automation cloud solution. Basically, it allows you to automate all kinds of stuff. It's really amazing. There are so many different apps that are included, I think 6,000 or something like that. And the pricing is quite fair, I believe, as well. So if you pay monthly, you pay 28 euros a month, or probably like $30 a month or something like that. And it really automates so much away from you. The automation that I'm going to show you here is just going to be one of them. Okay, so I don't think you can do it with the free version. You can, however, try it, and please let me know in the comment. I am using the professional version for quite a while already, so I'm using that for this example as well. So you need to sign up and register, and once you are signed up, the next thing that you're going to need is going to be an API key, which you can get from platform.openai.com. And then once you have registered, once you have set up your payment details, because an API key is basically not for free. And I can also show you how much it cost me so far to run this. And I have run it for a week and it cost me 47 cents. So what you see here with GPT-4 Turbo, I first tried the more expensive variant of it. I tried GPT-4 Turbo, the latest the API, so to speak, or the latest technology of OpenAI at the moment of recording. But then I decided to move over to 3.5 because it does the job as well, and it does it significantly cheaper. So basically, once you are registered and have everything set up, you go to API keys and then you create a new key here. So you set up this key, and then you can call it email filtering, for example, or forwarding, something like that, email forwarding. And I'm going to create this secret key, and then I'm going to copy this key. Now I can go over to Zapier. So once you are logged into Zapier, coming back to Zapier, you need to create a new Zap. So you go over here to create, and you go to Zaps. And here you can describe what you want to do, but you can also just use the trigger down here and use Gmail. And then you need to choose an event, and the event that you will need to choose is going to be new email. So each time that you get a new email, this event should be triggered. Here you need to search your account and connect your Gmail account. In my case, I connected my Gmail account from my Tutorials EU website. Then you go over to trigger, and here you select inbox. It's really important because otherwise you can very well run into an infinite loop, which I did at first. And that's how I got this first dollar of API cost, so to speak. So I'm saving you money here. Huh? All right. Then you need to go over to test and click on this button here, which says test trigger. So the idea is that you need to make sure that each step works before you go to the next, because otherwise it will not be worth it pretty much. So I have gotten a few emails here, and you can see there is some raw data, basically all the details about the latest email. I can select a few emails now. Here, some of them are just some ad emails, so to speak. This one here has to do with coding, so I'm going to use that. Continue with selected record, because what I want to do is I want to forward emails that are with the context of coding. I want to forward to my partner Yannick. So I'm going to use ChatGPT now in order to filter the email, to understand, to read the email, understand it, and give me the right output after that. So here you can select different events, and I'm just going to use conversation. So sends a chat to OpenAI and generate a completion, optionally storing messages as we do. All right, when you are at this point, you need to set up your account. So you will not see your ChatGPT account here and neither the API key. So you need to click on connect a new account, and then this pop-up appears, and that's where you're going to need your API key. Now you can copy the API key once again if you don't have it handy anymore, and you need to enter it up here. So here, allow Zapier to access your ChatGPT account by entering the API key. You do so. You can add an organization ID if you feel like it. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to say yes, connect ChatGPT. And then my connection is added here. Then I can go over to the action. And in the action, that's where I'm going to set up my user message. So I'm going to say body, and then I'm going to give the body of the email. I'm going to say from, and I'm going to add the from email. And then I'm going to also add the title. So subject, the subject of the email. And here, let's select subject. And then I need to give a little bit of context so that ChatGPT understands what it is working with. So what is this text that it's getting? Because it might be a little confusing. And I'm going to give it this context here. So I'm going to say context, I need you to identify if the email is coding related, sponsorship related, or something else, so I can forward it. And then I'm going to say parameters. So I'm telling it to only generate one of those 3 parameters. So basically information that it passes on to the next step. And one of them is coding, the other is sponsor, and the third one is other. So I really want to make sure if it's a coding email, I want to send it to Janik. If it's a sponsor email, I want to send it to Lisa. So these are 2 people that work with me, and I'm sending it to them accordingly. And in case of other, it's just going to stay with me, so to speak, and not get forwarded to anyone else. So this is obviously where you would change it. So you need to change the context as well as the parameters to fit to your particular example. Now at this point, you can be more detailed as to what you want it to filter, but in my case, this was good enough. So then you can go and select the model. I'm going to select the turbo model, the 16K turbo model, because you really need a lot of context. Sometimes emails are very big, so sometimes they just need this amount of context window, so to speak. And then you need to set up a memory key. I'm going to use the memory key send out. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it send out, and everything else can pretty much stay the same. So then click on continue. Then you will see the last email that you have received and some additional details about it. And you can test this step. And then you can also see what it gave as output. Let me check. So you see history message, it said coding. Okay, so now I need to add another step here. Now that I'm done with this conversation in ChatGPT, let me add another step, and I'm going to use this path here. So what path will do is it will run different paths according to the parameter that ChatGPT has generated. So in path A, I'm going to select the conversation with or in ChatGPT, where I'm taking the reply down here. And you see in this case, the reply was already coding, but I'm going to take the reply. And here I'm going to say exactly matches. And then I'm going to use coding here. So the text needs to exactly match coding. If that happens, then I want to send it to person 1. Okay, I'm going to say continue. And I get that it worked out. The response content coding does exist. So I can click continue once again. And here I can say what should happen. So I'm saying send an email to a person. So I'm selecting Gmail here, and I'm sending an email. So I'm saying send an email. Then I'm selecting the account, and I had set up the account earlier on, so that works. And then I can set the action So here I'm setting up who should be the receiver, and then maybe some second receiver or whatever. Then who is it from, as well as the name that should be displayed and the subject of the email, as well as the body of the email. So let's go ahead and say this should go to my buddy Yannick. I can add additional people in here, as you see. Then I can say who it is from, and I'm gonna say it's from myself, from my own email. Obviously I cannot send it from other people's emails. From name I'm gonna leave as is, reply to I'm gonna leave as is. So subject, I'm going to set something like forward, colon, and then from the new email, I'm taking the subject. So whatever that subject was, I'm forwarding that. And then the body, as the body I say, hi Yannick, I'm forwarding this email to you. It should be relevant to you. All right. And then I can go ahead and say that it should be the body in plain format that should be sent to that person. Now, obviously you can set more details and add whatever you want in here. You can add a label, a signature, some attachments, or whatever you want. But for now, this is good enough. So I click continue. And now I can test this step and see if this email will be now forwarded back to, or forwarded to Yannick. And it should. So it says a sent email was sent to Gmail about 8 seconds ago. So that works. Now I can do the same thing with my second path rules. So here again, I say conversation and response, and I'm going to say exactly matches here, and here it should exactly match sponsor. I believe that's what I said here. Let me check. I wrote it just like that. That's important. Really make sure that it's exactly written the same way. So I'm going to select sponsor here. And only if this is happening, I'm going to say, okay, this path should be selected and this should be forwarded. Again, another email should be sent. And I will say send email using my account with the action, as we've seen earlier, where I do pretty much the same things. So here I'm going to send it to another person in the team, and I can scroll down to say who it's from. So it's going to be from myself. And then again, I can add the subject. So I'm going to say forward, colon, and then I get the subject from Google. And then in the body, I'm just going to say, hey, Lisa, this email should be relevant for you. And then I go ahead and select the content of the email. So I go to new email in Gmail, body plain, and I forward this specific email. Everything else stays the same. I click continue. I test this step. However, this step will not be executed in a sense because the email that I've received is not relevant for Lisa. It's relevant for Yannick. So now I can go ahead and click publish here at the top or at the bottom right. Then this Zap will be published. I can turn it on here at the top. It says my Zap is on. And now I am good to go. So this Zap, as I said, I'm going to turn it off because I already have it here. So this is the Zap that we just created together. And now whenever I receive an email that has something to do with coding, it is going to be forwarded to person 1. And if it's related to sponsoring, it's going to be sent to person 2. So now you can obviously extend it to however many different types of emails you're receiving and different kind of people who are responsible for them accordingly. And you will save yourself a lot of time. So if you followed along and you did save a lot of time, then please let me know in the comments below and leave a like as well as a sub while you're at it. All right, so now I'm going to send myself an email. I'm going to say coding, coding, coding. And the content will be, what do you think about coding? And let me send it to myself. And let me see if I forwarded it as well. So I can check my zaps. You can see in Zap runs whether my Zap ever runs or not. And I can see that it's currently playing. So this Zap is currently running. And once it has run, it should forward the email to Yannick. All right, so it says success. So I can click on this Zap and I can see which direction, which path it went. And you can see that it went this path on the left-hand side because it was the coding path, so to speak. So it ran through and you can see which path it took. So here it took the path coding because it exactly matches coding as the email was about coding. Now, obviously I made it super obvious, but it could be significantly more nuanced and it would still get into the right path. So even if I were just to say C#, which is a programming language, it would still consider it as coding. So there we are. We can also see that I did in fact forward this email to Yannick as it has appeared here automatically. I didn't need to do anything else with it. So that's it for this video. Now you know how to automate email forwarding. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one. And as I said earlier, don't forget to subscribe.